Hello everyone, thanks for dropping by. Before I start, if you hear any noise in the background, it's because it's pouring down with rain here in Warrington. Anyway, this is a video sort of like an extension to the one I did yesterday regarding Star Wars and the possible new movie that's coming along. There is new movies and shows coming along, but the character on the front, you can see, i.e. Han Solo, I don't think there's going to be in a sequel, but I'll cover that to the latter part of this video. Anyway, looking around yesterday, I found this on the Star Wars News Network. It's Star Wars Celebration, and this was written on the 6th of January this year. And it confirms a rumour there will be a woman of colour / a diversity hire in the new Lucasfilm, expected to reveal a movie slate in this year's celebration. Now, there's also new movies coming up in December 2025, like I mentioned, following year, and then the following year after that. So it could be either a new sequel triology to a triology, or it could be 3 separate movies. Anyone's guess at this time. It's a breakdown of what's going on and just a series of rumours what they've heard. We interrupt this note that Shiner has since made the correction that he, as the lead character in the film, will indeed be a woman of colour. In other words, there will be a diversity hire in this new Star Wars movie. Now, drops down, there's too much to cover in this one video, but that is Star Wars News Network. Looking around for further information, I found on Screen Rant this. Now, this was published 21 hours ago. Biggest Star Wars predictions, not definite, and hopes, just wishful thinking for 2023. Now, it drops down, Star Wars, how to see the future of Star Wars in 2023 can bring balance to the Force, blah, blah, blah. Star Wars continues shying away from the big screen and made Disney Plus its new base of operations, which was a mistake. Star Wars belongs on the big screen, not on a TV screen. And then about the Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan and Andor. Now it drops down, Star Wars finally figures out what its movie's future looks like. And then it tells you about it. 2023 could really be the year Lucasfilm figures out the next move concerning Star Wars at the movies. Ideally, it would mean a major announcement mapping out a new Star Wars triology, as I mentioned, or film series, as picks up where the sequel This picks up where the sequel narrative ended, or begins a completely new tale removed from the Skywalker saga altogether, in lieu of an overreaching plan, or even just one of these in development. Star Wars movies received an official title and release date would represent a solid step forward in 2023. Well, filming is supposed to start in April, so they're leaving it a bit late. And it says, Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron could be back on track. And the Mandalorian scene, we know, is definitely coming. And Jeremy's poster girl, Ahsoka, will have a huge for Thrawn and Vader. Well, Thrawn is Timothy Zahn's heir to the Empire, so maybe they're gonna sort of do away with the Disney trilogy with Rey, the bestest ever, and put a proper sequel to the Return of the Jedi with Thrawn and maybe Vader. We don't know yet. And scrolling down, Accolade, that would be a animated series, and you think Obi-Wan was bad, but you're going to get a second series of it. It says, at the time of writing, Andor is only live-action Star Wars series aside from The Mandalorian, confirmed to run a single season, but the situation may change in 23. Obi-Wan and Book of Boba Fett could both feasibly be renewed, but given the letter's more divisive reception, Kenobi looks like to be more likely second season recipient. So in other words, no matter how bad you thought ObiWan Kenobi was, you're going to get another dose of it. Tempting Ewan McGregor back in his Sandy Rose has always been the biggest obstacle for a potential second season, as the actor readiness to say one more time is hugely encouraging update. And then Star Wars confirms live action. These will be animation for video games. And that's the article. But there's no indication of Solo, but the Yellow Flash 2 did this article, did a video about this article, and I had a look at it. This was done on January 4th. And it says, Solo, Star Wars director John Howard makes bizarre claim that Lucasfilm loves the fans and really do listen. There's a saying in the Islamic world, you kiss the hand you cannot bite. As Yellow Flash says, Ron Howard here, he's probably looking for a job, so he has to kiss Kathleen Kennedy's hand as he can't bite it. It says, Solo, Star Wars story director Ron Howard recently made the bizarre claim that Star Wars completely loves their fans, blah, blah, blah. Speaking with MME, providing an update on a possible sequel to Solo's Star Wars story, Howard indicated Lucasfilm has no intentions of making a sequel after the film bombed at the box office. Well, if it had done it properly, following A.C. Crispin's book and story, it wouldn't have bombed. Howard told the outlet, the only discussion I'm aware of about a sequel to For Solo is coming from the fans' point of view. Well, I didn't ever want a sequel. I wanted it to be made properly. Now that is bounding into comics. This article, GameSpot.com, says, written a day later, Solo director doesn't believe Star Wars sequel is a priority for Lucasfilm right now. This could be a just tagging onto the tails of the previous article. It says Solo Star Wars story ranks as one of the worst performing entries in the sci-fi based box office results. That's because they weren't true to the lore. So it may not be surprising to learn that director Ron Howard doesn't believe a sequel is on the cards. Well, concerning Han Solo, if you go on Wookiepedia, it says you'll find the Han Solo triology. The trilogy is written by A.C. Crispin. She's sadly no longer with us, and released in June 1997. They also state that pre-Lucasfilm request I did not cover Han's time in the Imperial Academy, which is alright. The story that I've read ends with him joining the Academy. If it had been included in it, it would have messed the whole theme of the story narrative up, or his first meeting with Chewbacca. That comes later in the separate novels. These events were eventually depicted in the 18th Star Wars story, but meeting Chewbacca was not part of the Paridice Snare or Han Solo trilogy story. I've always said that. The real story of Han begins 10 years before Han Solo's original appearance in Star Wars, and follows the adventures of a young Han from his childhood as a pickpocketing street urchin to his days as a competitive pod racer, until the very moment he approaches the table in Mos Eisley Cantina. If they'd have done it properly, this would have been like a parallel story that starts the ending of the 6th movie trilogy in A New Hope in the Mos Eisley Cantina. That would have been true to the lore and true to canon. They also derived basic plot from one line of Han's from the original film. That line was probably, I've travelled across the galaxy and I've seen a lot of strange stuff. Now the trilogy brings both Adventures of Lando Calrissian, which is another trilogy movie, and the Han Solo Adventures, If we click on that, Han Solo at Star's End, Han Solo's Revenge, and Han Solo and the Lost Legacy. Now you have the Paridice Snare, the first movie it should have been instead of Solo. Then you had the Hutt Gambit. Then you had the three I've just showed you. Then you have Rebel Dawn. And that ends, the book ends with Han sits down at the table where Obi-Wan and Luke Skywalker are waiting, which is exactly the same moment of his first online appearance in A New Hope. Now if you go to Wookiepedia, this is Paridice Snare, and that explains it. And if you go to click on development, during the development of Star Wars The Han Solo's triology, author A.C. Crispin was advised by Lucasfilm to not cover Han Solo's time at the Imperial Academy as his first encounter with Chewbacca, which, as I mentioned in this, is correct, as it would have spoiled the whole story thread of Han's what's his name? Mine's gone. Han's real storyline, which instead we got this. But anyway, we're going to get new Star Wars movies coming out. None of them will probably do any good. All of them will be woke as hell with diversity hires. And I can't see them making much money. The Star Wars new things coming are for mostly TV, not the big screen. Solo could have made money if they'd have done it right, but it was such a botched up patch and men job that no wonder it lost money. At least Ron Howard saw what a mess it was and he did his best to patch it up. But this is how it should have been, in my view, and probably a few others. And this should have been the first one. If you click on that, it gives you an update of the storyline. But as it is, we're stuck with Disney's Star Wars Celebration and telling you what you're going to get on Disney Plus and maybe on the big screen. I won't be doing any more Star Wars for a bit unless I find anything more. But for now, that's it for this one. You know the routine, people. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe. It's completely up to you. I'll do the MGTOW one tomorrow as I usually do on a Monday. But for now, that's it for now. Bye-bye.